What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Renegade Marquee on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. Joining me, as always, is my co-captain, Jacob.
Hello, y'all.
And we may or may not have a guest appearance by Brock once we get to, one of the movies that we're covering. On this episode, because August has been a pretty busy month, at least on my end, we didn't really have time to talk about any of the big releases that came out this month. So here, Jacob is going to finish his thoughts on Suicide Squad. And then
the Suicide
Squad. And then we will talk about Free Guy and the 2021 iteration of Candyman. But before we do that, we unfortunately have to take a moment to mourn the loss of Michael K. Williams, who just passed away at the age of 54.
Yeah, it's awful. It truly is.
Yeah. And our hearts go out to his family and loved ones. There's no easy transition out of this. So before we get into the Suicide Squad, I just want to give a quick marquee extra shout out to a movie that I saw. Honestly, I was a little bit late to the party on this one. I finally got to see on demand Nicolas Cage's latest movie, Pig. This was a directorial debut for Michael Sarnowski. And I don't really want to spoil too much if you haven't already seen it, but basically Nicolas Cage plays a former Portland-based chef turned recluse, living in a forest or in a cabin deep in the Oregon forest. And one day he loses his truffle pig, and he has to go and pair up with Alex Wolff as Amir as they go through town and the various old restaurants he used to engage with. And I know the description of this movie sounds a little off kilter, but it's honestly one of the best movies of the year and one of Nicolas Cage's finest performances.
Oh my, you have piqued my interest.
So yeah, if you haven't seen Pig yet, you should definitely check that out very soon.
It's weird. I actually recommended Gunn. I believe it was a couple of episodes ago. It was another Neon release involving a pig. So weird how that works.
Yeah, what a strange niche that this company has carved out.
Hey, they gotta stand out from A24 somehow.
That's true. So yeah, the last time we did a big podcast, a storm hit Jacob's neck of the woods, and he didn't get to finish his thoughts on Suicide Squad. So I'll ask you this: have you had another chance to watch the movie?
I have.
And how have your thoughts changed since your initial reaction, if they changed at all?
Not a whole lot, honestly. I stand by what I was able to say when I was in the Capes episode. You know, it's a fun movie. It's unapologetically kooky. It's just bizarre. Like, it has a lot of its mind about redemption, about trust, about fitting in. It's there are ideas that are not uncommon with this kind of superhero genre, especially James Gunn's Guardians movies. But it knows how to convey those ideas in ways that are entirely its own. It's the violence is actually warranted. It's it's basically everything the original Suicide Squad movie should have been. It was actually as edgy as it thought it was. And also kind of helps that all the scenes play out in an understandable way that makes sense. And I could actually see what's going on because it's not super dark all the time. Excellent performances throughout. Margot Robbie, John Cena, Idris Elba, Sylvester Stallone, Viola Davis. It's a stat cast, and they all do wonders. It's one way that DC has a promising future, is that they're able to tack on projects that Disney and Marvel probably have no chance of actually doing. So yeah.
Nice. I've just been so busy this month that I in a normal year, I probably would have seen this movie in theaters like three or four times, because that first viewing was still incredibly satisfying.
Yeah.
I just haven't had a chance to see it more than once, and I believe if it hasn't already, it's about to leave HBO Max soon. And speaking of HBO Max,
it did just yesterday. Actually, it did just yesterday because it ended the 31-day window.
There we go. But speaking of HBO Max, I have to ask, did the Suicide Squad make you more or less excited for the upcoming Peacemaker series?
More, I guess. I liked John Cena's performance. It's an interesting character. Yeah, I'm down for it. And all the other DC projects that are slated for HBO Max, like Batgirl, and a bit of Black Canary. She's getting one.
Yep.
Mhm.
So far on HBO Max, we've got Peacemaker, which is coming in January, and then later we've got the Green Lantern Corps series. We have Strange Adventures, which is kind of an anthology series that also focuses on a character named Adam Strange. And then on the movie side of things, there's Batgirl, there's Black Canary, and there's Blue Beetle, which I know
Josh.
Yeah, Josh has lots of thoughts on that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have too much to add about Suicide Squad since I've pretty much said my piece already. Any other any other final thoughts as we vamp for a few minutes, and you can edit this part out?
No, it's a movie that's genuinely unexpected. I was never. I every time I thought I was ahead of this movie, I turned out to be completely wrong. It's just one of those movies that deserves its place, like among the edgier side of superhero movies. I love the imagery in the movie. It manages to create some really memorable sequences. It's James Gunn at its absolute peak, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it already.
Awesome. Yeah, this is one you're definitely not going to want to miss. So now we are going to we're going to talk a little bit about Free Guy, a movie that that I know Brock really loved. He may or may not be showing up later in this podcast, but Jacob, I want to hear your thoughts. Your general impressions of Free Guy.
Well, it's been a while since I have seen it. I saw it opening weekend. It was like a Thursday night screen, so I don't remember that much from it. I do remember that I was expecting just, really stupid comedy. Like basically it was Pixels meets They Live meets The Truman Show. Yeah. But I had an awesome time with it. It was a genuinely fun, piece of 2-hour escapism. It's got clever humor. It's even got some ideas about how art can be influenced by real life and vice versa. It's a fun, clever movie that knows to take its time, before it just throws everything at you in the climax. Ryan Reynolds is awesome as always. It's just good blockbuster entertainment that I genuinely enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't have said it better myself. Over on Brock's channel, Organoid Zero, he and I spent well over an hour gushing about this movie because it really was a huge surprise. I mean, I like Sean Levy as a director.
I can tell this is by the guy who did Night at the Museum too. It just has that vibe.
Yeah. Sean Levy at his best is really one of those. He's one of those filmmakers that really kind of captures like that very feel good energy.
And a high concept.
And if you only know him from his work on Stranger Things, then even that is pretty high concept. So yeah, between that, his work on the Night of the Museum films, and even the two screenwriters that he brought on, Matt Lieberman and Zach Penn, they all of them plus the Ryan Reynolds of it all, it just makes a very satisfying package. You go into this movie kind of expecting just another kind of run of the mill update on the Truman Show, but it's actually a lot smarter than the marketing kind of lets on. I thought all the performances were great, not just Reynolds, but Jodie Comer and Joe Keery as surprisingly one of the better romances in these type of stories that I was not expecting to get this invested in.
Yeah, especially when it starts out with the badass chick with the himbo. And that was kind of like the Lego movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's even a joke in this movie involving ordering coffee.
Yep.
Taika Waititi, he was fun in it too. 2 movies. This is another movie with Taika Waititi because he was in the Suicide Squad too.
That's right. And what's kind of cool about both these movies kind of being released back to back is that you really get to see like how much range Waititi has as an actor. Like he's not just the funny guy. In Suicide Squad, I think he only gets maybe 1 or 2 lines of dialogue, but he takes the role seriously, and you really feel for his character. And in this movie, he gets to have fun playing a complete douchebag.
Yeah.
And just like the ultimate stereotypical, that like that one troll you see in all the message boards, but he just happens to be working for, a major AAA game developer.
He just came across to me as like a hipster douchebag.
He really does. He's like kind of the worst example of those, those people from Silicon Valley who are like, who think they're above it all.
It should be what's interesting about this movie is that they got actual YouTube Let's Players, like Jack Skeptic Guy and Pokimane and Laserbeam.
Oh yeah.
It adds the authenticity of it. But apparently, Jack Skeptic Guy and Ryan Reynolds, they actually they collaborate on something.
Yeah, and I that's one reason why Reynolds is considered one of the smartest one of the smartest entrepreneurs in Hollywood, because he isn't just an actor. He's also a producer. He has his own marketing company. He's done ads for Mint Mobile, his own his own vodka, and what's cool is he'll sneak all of that into the movies that he's in. So he's also the king of like really discreet product placement too.
Yeah, he knows how obnoxious that stuff can be.
Oh yeah, even like some of the other celebrity cameos in here are fun. Like you've got Tina Fey as the voice of Keith's vacuuming mom. I don't know if you remember Keith.
I remember that was the kid with he had a Jack Skellington figurine on his desk. In the background, he had a poster for the Avengers too.
Yep. So,
which, by the way, how obvious is it that a lot of this was shot after Disney bought out Fox?
I don't know if it was after Disney bought Fox, but
or at least when it was they were well into the process.
Yeah, I think some of the shots might have been just additional pickups. Like the scene with the lightsaber and Cap Shield.
Yeah.
Oh, but some of the other celebrity cameos. You got Hugh Jackman playing the one of the masked avatars in an alley. Mm-hmm. Dwayne Johnson is a bank robber, and John Krasinski is the silhouetted gamer in I think one of the newsreels. There's an interview with the guy, and it's very obviously John Krasinski, but his voice is a little distorted, and he's completely blacked out. It's I love this about about movies where you get all these cameos, all these big names for these little bit parts.
Yeah. So it just makes you more pressure on you to actually recognize them. When you hear it makes you feel smart. When you hear a line delivered in a certain way, you're like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
There is one cameo that we also need to mention, Alex Trebek.
Oh yeah. The late Alex Trebek makes an appearance, and
because of all the delays of this movie, that unfortunately made this a posthumous appearance and a posthumous role.
Yeah. man, it's still just kind of very surreal to think that Trebek is no longer with us.
Yeah.
Anything else from the movie that stands out to you?
Anything else about the movie? Yeah, I felt genuinely sad when Taika Waititi had Ryan Reynolds like deleted. I was
Yeah,
like, oh no, I genuinely like that's how good like despite the character guy not being written in a way that's that different from Ryan Reynolds' roles recently. The fact that I was that attached to him, that's impressive.
I think this might be the smartest. Um, this is like the smartest way to use Ryan Reynolds. His usual brand of comedy. I think it was Movie Bob who described this as um like the I forget the exact phrase that he used, but he's like um it's like that man, I'm struggling to um I'm struggling to describe how he described Reynolds' performance, but it's like it's like that very PG version of Deadpool, but it's more like, oh, I got it. It's the the charismatic wise guy. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think he makes the most out of this character.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that.
And then I guess some of my other favorite characters were Lil Ray Howery as his best friend Buddy,
But yeah.
and then I'm always happy to see this guy come up, Utkarsh M and Bhutkar as Mouser. That was Joe Keery's character, Keys, his friend at work.
Yeah.
All of these characters are these are all wonderfully wonderfully well developed characters.
Yeah.
Even though one of them can be a massive douche, but even then, like, the performance is still just bursting with energy.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to think of what else to say about this that I haven't already in our other review. Just honestly, just go see this one. There are still a couple twists and turns that we haven't revealed yet, including Reynolds playing another character who who just had me laughing the second he appeared on screen.
That is just peak Reynolds if ever one existed.
But yeah, honestly, this is just this was one of the biggest surprises that I didn't think would end up this high on my list. It's not my number one like it is for Brock, but it definitely hit a sweet spot for me, for just its it's rich, high concept, the the themes about rejecting cynicism, whether it's rejecting the idea that you are stuck in one place for the rest of your life, or just the cynicism of selling out to a major corporation, and just following through on your dream project. All of that stuff just really resonated with me.
And how art can bring people together.
Exactly. So yeah, this one was definitely a winner, and you should see it as soon as you get the chance, provided you feel comfortable returning to a theater. So with that said, we're finally moving on to um, one of the movies that I was really excited to see, um, Candyman, a supernatural slasher film and a direct sequel to the 1992 film of the same name, which I literally just watched for the first time before I hit record.
Yeah,
Based
I
on the
watched
short,
it.
based on the short story "The Forbidden" by Clive Barker. Um, so for this Lega sequel, directed by Nia DaCosta and co-written by DaCosta, Jordan Peele, who's also a producer, and Win Rosenfeld. This movie follows Anthony McCoy and his partner, who move into a loft in the now gentrified Cabrini after a chance encounter with an old timer exposes Anthony to the true story behind Candyman. He unknowingly opens a door to a complex past that unravels his own sanity and unleashes a terrifying wave of violence. So, Jacob, I wanted to ask you: have you seen the original before you watched the sequel?
I have.
Okay, good. So we're all on the same page.
Right. I made sure to watch it the week before I saw it in the theater.
Good, good. And I guess I'll just ask you your thoughts on Candyman 2021.
Oh, well, Candyman 2021, it's a sequel that expands upon the ideas of the original in ways I was not expecting. It was surprisingly critical of the first one, I thought. Yeah, it brings new corners brings us to new corners of this mythos of Candyman. It explores how art can be used as a tool um, to inspire people when it's not used for cynical reasoning. It's a movie that gives you a lot to think about. It's a sequel that it wasn't like most horror sequels where it's just like, oh no, Candyman is back. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. It treats the source material with reverence because there were two sequels to the original Candyman that apparently were total dog shit, and that was kind of what it was what this movie managed to avoid. So yeah, it's a horror movie with it's a smart horror movie with great scares. Nia DaCosta, she deserves at least most of like 75% of the credit, I think. We need to put emphasis on that. This is not Jordan Peele's Candyman.
Yeah, I think that that should be pretty much how every discussion of this movie opens. Like I've been bothered by this kind of marketing ever since The Nightmare Before Christmas, where yes, we all know that was you know we all know that was Tim Burton's story, like, but
he didn't direct it though. That was Henry Selick.
yeah, and in the case of this movie, it's it's building off like previous source material, and B, this was like truly a collaboration between Nia DaCosta at the helm, um, and and you know and working pretty closely with Jordan Peele and his collaborator Win Rosenfeld on the screenplay. So obviously she deserves the lion's share of the credit, but um but for better for worse, this was a true you know, like this was a team effort in almost every sense. Um, I also kind of want to ask before we dive deeper into the meat of this movie. Did you see DaCosta's directorial debut, Little Woods?
I did not.
Okay, yeah, me neither. That's one I'm probably gonna check out once we get closer to the Marvels, which I'm very excited that like DaCosta is going from this, you know, a kind of mid-budget like a sequel to a cult classic horror film to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's quite the accomplishment. Um, but yeah, getting right into the thick of things. One thing I absolutely love about this movie is like sort of the like just the general reverence of like storytelling and how one particular urban legend gets passed down from generation to generation. Like,
Yeah.
by the way, we are going to be spoiling things, but we'll try to keep things light. Our lead of this film, Yahya Abdul Mateen II, first of all, is great. I'm like he turns in such a terrific performance. I've always liked him in like in his supporting roles in the past, but this for his first leading performance, this was very, very well done. But in this movie, he like kind of becomes the fifth version of this this urban legend referred to as the Candyman. And I think the but like the journey how he gets there is honestly a very fascinating one. And I got to give a shout out to a friend of the show, Richard Newby, from the Hollywood Reporter. He wrote an excellent piece called "Unpacking Candyman and Its Darkest Revelation," and we will include this in our show notes so you can read along with us.
Yeah, we wanted him to be on board to discuss the movie, but he couldn't because of family. Because his family was in town apparently, and we want to voice to put his perspective onto the spotlight because it is quite a read, and I don't think that this discussion should be dominated by just two white guys.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We do plan to have him later on the show though, because his philosophy of how to critique movies is absolutely on par with ours. He has the same mission as we do, which is to bring some positivity to the discourse.
Oh, absolutely. But I think one line I think that really stuck out is towards the beginning. He says, "People are stories. We are made up of the things we say about ourselves, but even more so, we are made up of what others say about us. And those stories get used and sometimes abused in order for the personal to become the communal, for the story to be torn into pieces and disseminated among everyone who hears it until it no longer resembles you at all. Not a single one of us is above being sacrificed for the sake of a good story. We see it every day to varying degrees, from social media to news media. We see people captured by the snapshot of an image, a meme, a headline, and we think we know the story and therefore unwrap the person." That's a pretty powerful paragraph right there.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, yeah, that's alarming, but when considered through the lens of blackness, it becomes horrifying. And obviously we can't speak on that part, but
Right.
But to see that like kind of depicted in this film is what did you think about that? How like how like a lot of their history has been like kind of warped and twisted to sort of fit a particular narrative.
Well, to bring up one example that Richard himself brought up in his piece was that what Nancy Pelosi said about George Floyd, that you were sacrificed, and you sacrificed yourself in the name of social justice or whatever. Which, come on, lady, like, and so I definitely see where he's coming from. Like, and I think the Candyman sequel, it is aware that the first one was kind of made through a white lens, even though the original Candyman is very much a critique of the white savior narrative. Would you agree with that?
Honestly, I think one of the reasons I prefer the sequel to the original, and in all fairness, both of these movies are still kind of fresh. I would need to give them a few more watch throughs to really solidify my opinion. But I think DaCosta's take on this character, and like the mythology surrounding him, I find just a little bit more compelling. Because even though both films are still are still very politically charged, because all horror is political. Actually, all media is political, but I digress. There's a simplicity in some regard with the original, because it was because it was filmed through a white lens. Like the titular villain comes off more of like the other, and very what's the word, like he's definitely more of like an outsider, like a foreign threat,
like an alien, essentially.
Yeah. And I can understand if that's sort of the tone that they were going for.
Yeah.
Which is why I think the approach that DaCosta and Peele took on this movie, I think it's a much smarter take, and it definitely feels more personal coming from a black lens.
Yeah. Did you notice that the douchey curator for the art gallery, in which Anthony's piece was shown in? Did you notice that his name is Clive?
Oh, that's a nice that's a nice Easter egg.
The thing is, like, I think it's acknowledging that he won't never truly understand. Like, he and his girlfriend, they're the ones who summoned the Candyman. Right?
Yep.
So, and they're the ones who kind of he kind of poo-poos his artwork, essentially, Anthony's, and doesn't he?
Yeah, he very much like kind of talks down to him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really show him respect. Like he's basically he's basically like lording over to him and Brianna that, you know, we let you join the show, so you have to be thankful.
Yeah. What should we also discuss? The art critic, the white art critic, who kind of chastises Anthony as well.
Yeah, and the line that he throws at her, you love our work but not us.
Yeah.
That one that cuts deep.
That kind of got some Get Out vibes. How much are you willing to bet that she would declare that she would vote for Obama for a third term if she could?
That's a pretty easy bet.
What specifically did she say? I forgot. It's been a week since I saw the movie.
I forget. Oh, I think she was just kind of I forget specifically what she said, but she was definitely kind of she was like kind of like acting dismissive towards towards like the nature of the nature of you know, the like the piece that he has on display.
But did you think that this movie, like Anthony, like he starts off kind of capitalizing on you know, the horror of Candyman, the mythology, like he tries to internalize that in some way, but like do you think that was what this movie was trying to critique, was like art that about this sort of thing that tackles ideas like gentrification, like that, but like doing it mostly just for money, just so you could profit off of it?
I mean, that seems to be at least one of the themes that,
And without actually intending to inspire anybody, because his girlfriend, she creates art to deal with the trauma of losing her father to suicide, but then that art curator, the other one, later in the film, she tells her because her work has nothing to do with Candyman, then it's pretty much worthless, and they have no place for her art there. So
like a lot of what I have to say about art is it basically boils down to art doesn't exist in a vacuum. Like people bring so much to people. You will bring as much or as little to a piece, depending on their background. Or
yeah, that's why I can't fully get behind the idea of separating art from the artist.
It's one of those philosophies that only works in theory, but doing so kind of limits your interpretation of the work in question. But then it also kind of depends on the nature of the work. Like, you know, there is such thing as, if let's say, for example, we're talking about directors, you know, you know, there are such thing as hired guns who are just like approaching a project for a paycheck.
Right. But I think should we talk about the twist now about Anthony, who his mom is, for instance?
Yeah. So this is why when I revealed that I haven't seen the original, people were like, yeah, you should probably watch that before going to the sequel, because like if you notice what Anthony's last name is, his mother was the one who Like
she's Anne-Marie McCoy, played by Vanessa Williams.
Yep. And she was the one who kind of who lost her baby in that one scene.
Yeah, but her performance in that scene was chilling, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean that she acted like someone who really thought her baby was dead, and that the baby's killer was in the same room as her.
I felt awful watching that scene.
Yeah. So yeah, it turns out that she was trying to protect him from what his experience is, so he would never come across Candyman again. But of course he does. He's the one who creates that exhibit, which is a mirror, but in which those two, dumb fucks decide to, hey, let's say the word Candyman 5 times in this mirror. And the dumb, and so, yeah, in a way he was like kind of subconsciously bringing Candyman back. And later it does, in a way, like we see Candyman come back to him, like when that part where he's stung by a bee, and then the stink it just spreads around his entire body. So that's a way of Candyman kind of being reincarnated in him.
Oh yeah.
This movie makes great use of imagery that was introduced in the first movie, I thought.
There's one scene from the original that still kind of sticks out to me. It's the one where Helen goes into the bathroom, opens up all the stalls, and the one on the very left is the one that's like filled to the brim with bees.
Yeah, like because that was the toilet where Candyman allegedly castrated that kid, and later she's assaulted by a guy who goes by the name of Candyman. So it's that kind of little bait and switch where you think that that's the guy that everyone's talking about, when actually, no, he was just taking inspiration from that persona, that character. Yeah, so in a way, this is kind of a movie that, of fairy tales, of legends taking on life of their own and sneaking their way into our lives. It's something to chew on, really.
It's kind of like this is basically the horror equivalent of did you ever play the game of Telephone when you were younger?
Telephone? No, I don't believe I did.
Okay, it's basically like you're in a circle. One person whispers something to
I know what you're talking about. No, yeah. I didn't play that game.
But that's basically how legends and folklore get passed down from one generation to the other. So it's kind of cool to see that being explored here, but with obviously a much darker edge.
Yeah.
Now, was there anything about this movie that didn't work for you, or you thought could have been improved?
Why do you have something that you would have improved?
I mean, honestly, the only thing that I said was, I thought like some of the attempts at humor were, not every joke landed.
Well, not every joke lands in any comedy, really.
That's true. And I did appreciate how Brianna's brother, played by Nathan Stewart Jarrett, I like that the one gay couple in this movie.
Yeah.
Like it's never really like their relationship is just kind of normalized as as okay, they're gay, so what?
Yeah,
Um,
there's no like it chapter 2 scenario in here.
right. Um, and I do like Troy as a character. I just think maybe I just think like once in a while he hits like he's given a line that just kind of fell flat for me. But other than that, like um and maybe a little bit going a little bit too heavy with exposition. Um, for the most part, I thought the writing in this film was really strong.
But
And
we need to talk about the animated segments in this movie.
yeah, I was gonna bring that up next. That like those segments even kind of remind me of the Babadook a little bit.
Yeah, I
And
liked how
the
they
kind of the like the pop up book sort of aesthetic.
or you just like it doesn't even try to look like these characters are actually real, or you can see the hands. It's basically shadow puppets.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And by the way, that was an interesting like when they were recapping the story of Helen's story, who by the way is voiced again by Virginia Madsen, and the audio that Anthony listens to, that actually is her voice.
Oh yeah, I thought that sounded familiar.
So, I was gonna say, okay, so the character, like, it turns out the way the guy who works at the laundromat, what's his name, William Burke, like he tells Anthony a different version of the story, where when there's that bonfire and Helen saves Anthony from the fire, they make it so like it was the people who caused the fire who saved the baby and not her. In a way, that is kind of her comeuppance in the long run, is that she's not even credited for saving him.
Yeah, that's another example of twist
Yeah.
twisting a narrative like
All
for your
because
own
she
agenda.
wanted to denounce Candyman. All she wanted to debunk him for her thesis.
Um,
Yeah, see,
now,
this movie gives you so much to chew on.
yeah. Now I've seen some pretty ridiculous backlash for this movie. Um, calling like calling this one woke.
Do we have to give these people any attention?
We shouldn't have to. Um, I
Because I just don't. I'm just so tired of this freaking cottage industry on the internet.
yeah, no, we're not going to give any we're not going to give any specific names. This is just another reminder that all art is political.
Yeah.
And that you shouldn't subscribe to any bad faith
Especially
arguments. So we haven't talked about the ending yet. What how did you feel about the way this film leaves off?
It was, again, it was consistent, I thought, with what they were trying to convey. It was that actual action is important. That's what art should fundamentally do, is inspire, and she does in a way. Like when Brianna, when she's taken to the cop car, she's suspected of killing Anthony after Burke kind of set him up to be the Candyman. Like, he actually cuts off Anthony's hand off and replaces it with the hook. So, and gonna make him so like he will make it look like he was assaulting the police. And so, like, it's the way, apparently it's so that Candyman can be seen as a person of vengeance rather than just a victim. And so, she's taken to Anthony, he's shot, and she's taken by the police. And then when she hears that the police are going to make it look like that Anthony was the one who actually provoked the attack. And then she decides, no, I ain't having that. So she looks into the rear view mirror of his car. No, and then and then she says, Candyman, 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 and that's what produces the attack. Anthony becomes the Candyman.
Yep.
And so, yeah. So I thought that was, it was cool. It was satisfying.
Yeah, I actually really like that ending, and I want to point out the last paragraph in Richard's write up. He says the result of telling everyone is that Candyman no longer exists as an urban legend, but as a new religion. Candyman isn't a martyr, but a deity deciding who is innocent and who is not, who is contributing to and benefiting from the disparity created by systemic racism and who is not. He's Old Testament style Black God, and depending on the viewer, there's nothing more powerful and nothing more terrifying than that idea. We're all stories, but in the end, Candyman decides which ones are sweet enough to save.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Now, with that said, since we're recording this well after its opening weekend, first of all, how do you feel about Nia DaCosta being, the first black female director to have a film open at number one?
That's awesome for her. It really is. And she deserves that success,
Yeah,
when she's able to breathe such fresh new life into a horror franchise. Good on her. I hope that she has a very prosperous career after this.
I do too.
I'm looking forward to the Marvels. I really am.
Same. I was a little taken aback hearing that though, because it's like, really, she's the first. Like,
yeah, it puts things into perspective.
It really does. And another question I have, do you think we'll be getting more movies set in this universe? Like, I know the sequels that came like in between the original and this were, from what I've heard, not very good, and B, sort of kind of standalone sequels.
I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, this movie's destroying that old continuity, and it gives new fertile ground for any other takes of Candyman. I don't think it's unreasonable to think that, given reboot culture that we currently live in, this is one that if I can see it getting more sequels and spinoffs, and I'm down for that.
You know what? Honestly, I'm kind of down for it myself. If for no other reason than, it gives Yahya Abdul-Mateen II a franchise to call his own.
Yeah.
And B, it kind of continues the sort of theme of legacy with
exactly.
Yeah.
As long as they start every succeeding movie with Sammy Davis Jr.'s cover of Candyman. I'm surprised they didn't do that in the first one. It's so obvious.
I know, right? I was kind of waiting for it, like watching the original, but I guess its association with the franchise is a little bit more recent. I can't say that with any authority. I just know that like the song is very catchy, and I don't know, it kind of fits well with with this character in a very ironic sense. So any final thoughts on Candyman, whether it's the original or the 2021 film?
Candyman is a sequel that breathes fresh new life into the franchise. It finds new ways of continuing the ideas of Candyman in ways that are interesting in its own way. It stands out some good, generally scary moments, like one involving white girls in a bathroom. Some great, scary imagery, but doesn't overdo it. It's a good one. It really is.
Yeah, and for anyone who hasn't seen the original, I would say both of these make for great companion pieces. The first movie is it's good, but it's definitely a product of its time. Like both because of its white lens, and just the fact that the story is a little bit it's a little bit more in my opinion at least more bare bones in terms of the narrative focus. Because I think the first one is more of like a almost like a detective mystery.
There is
thriller.
subtext, though, definitely, right? There's still
there's certainly subtext, but the 2021 film it's almost like a video essay that critiques the original while continuing the legacy.
It's not quite Starship Troopers.
Not a lot of things are.
Yeah. I still can't believe that movie exists. That is one of the cruelest adaptations I've ever heard of.
Honestly, I think that approach really works for it works for material that
go on, Mike.
It like the Starship Trooper approach. It works for material that that you can find like that one angle to really deconstruct how it all works. And as far as like the future career of Nia DaCosta, I think she has a bright future ahead of her. Like I'm super excited for the Marvels, and after that I kind of hope she continues just putting a fresh spin on like a variety of different stories. Like she's even gone on record saying like she doesn't necessarily want to be tied to one particular genre. Like she doesn't want to be she doesn't want to be kind of typecast as just focusing on Black trauma. Like she wants to tell a superhero story, so she's doing that.
With this movie's theme. That's consistent with this movie's theme.
Exactly. The sky's the limit for her. She can do whatever she wants next.
Right.
But I think that'll do it for this episode. These three movies couldn't be any more different. And I wish we had a little bit more time to discuss them earlier in the month, but hey, life happens. But for now, Jacob, where can everyone find you online?
On Facebook and Twitter, JoKrehbiel, KREHBIEL. I'm also part of the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group, and I have my own letterbox account, Streamin Demon.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/Coach K42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. Look for us on Podchaser. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this installment of the Renegade Marquee. Thank you guys for joining, and we will catch you guys later. Peace out.
See ya.